Hi guys. Today I'm going to be showing you guys an email validation package that I wrote myself, and we're going to be validating some emails making use of this package. Now, I have myself here an email validation form that I wrote just now, and what this does is it just validates emails, an email you send. Like for instance, if I send this email, it validates the email for me. I can send kind of like a wrong email, right? And it tells me the MX record does not exist for this email domain because the domain is wrong. And you can check other ones like an example email, tells you this email is on the banned list, and so on. So validating this email, we are making use of this package I wrote. If you go on packages.org, you can search for my name, search for it, and you see this email validation package I wrote. Now, for clarity, I will show you guys what is going on here in my code. Now, I wrote a form, a simple HTML form that submits a post request of what I'm trying to do here, right? Trying to validate the email. So it submits my email to a post request. Now, for those that make use of Laravel, this video is going to be straightforward. But for those that make use of raw PHP, I'm going to be explaining to you guys what I did in my code here. Now, I kind of created a router myself, which PHP does not. People that make use of raw PHP mostly don't do this, right? They just write code like that. So, boys, I do well to organize my code in a way that it's going to be very easy to write codes moving forward. Now, if you make use of Laravel, you'll be familiar with this code structure already. But if you make use of PHP, raw PHP, now I have here a router file which I did to handle routing. Now, what this router file does is that you can see the function. You can see the function I wrote here. Now, this function accepts a method, a path, and a callback. Now, the method it accepts is either it is a post method or a get method or put or delete method. That's the HTTP status code, right? HTTP method, I mean. Then the path here is the routing. That's if it is /about/ whatever. Then callback here is what's meant to be done when that route is being called, right? Which is you can pass in your controller here. For those that make use of Laravel, you understand this properly. Then and so on. Now, I have my router file here. I'm going to drop a link to the GitHub for this. In case you want to structure your code in this format, you can make use of this as a template in structuring your code when writing PHP code. So I'll drop the link in the description. Then I also have here, so if you go back here to my routing, right, I have three different routes here. The first route, which is the route for my form here, just calls the email form. Now, what this does is that you can see the method, the path, and the callback. Now, the callback is a function that tells it what to do. Now, the method is a get method. I'm sending a get method to this home route, and then it calls my home controller, which is this controller I have here. I have my home controller here, and it calls this method in my home controller, the form method in my home controller. So the form method just shows up my form, which is what we have here. Then I have another one that sends a GET request to the results route, and then the results route just calls the same home controller, but then the results, it calls my results method. Now in my home controller, you can see my results method here, which just shows up my results view, which is the other view that I showed you. That is this view, yeah. And I have the code in my views here. You can see that for the form and the results. Now, and then this last one here is a post method that sends the post method to this route. Now, if I send the post method to this route, it just calls up my home controller, the validate email method we have here, and then this code it runs this code we have here, right, which is what I'm doing in my form. I'm sending a post method to that route. Now let's move straight on. Now what I'm doing here is I'm validating my email, making use of the package, the email validator package. If you want to go to the GitHub, you can, there's a link to the GitHub here. I'll drop it in the description also. You can see the GitHub code here. Now what this email validator package does is that you can see from the description here, it validates email with various checks such as MS record, disposable email, detect, banned list email or free emails, and so on. Now how you can install it. Laravel guys, you know how to install packages. You make use of composer require, then the email package. But for those that make use of raw PHP and you don't make use of composer, this is your sign to start making use of composer. So if you want to install composer, you can go to getcomposer.org and install composer on your laptop. Then if you install composer, you can install a package by doing composer require so you can do composer require that package, and if you do this, the package is going to be installed for you in a folder called the vendor folder. You can see it here, the vendor folder. You have the package installed for you here, and then you are going to have something like this: a composer JSON and a composer log file. Composer log file shows you details about the package, and JSON file just shows you also details about the package. Now once this is done, once you've installed this, you can now go ahead to make use of this email validation in your controller or wherever you're writing your code. Now to make use of this email validator, all you need to do is to import the namespace of this my email validator, which is this. You can do it this way, or import it any other way you are importing it. In case you are not writing the code in this format, you can do it any other way. You maybe require the email validator and so on, or include anyone. Now once you import the email validator, now what you need to do is to create an instance of the email validator, and then you call the validate method, passing in the email or emails you want to validate. Now this validates method accepts if it's single or multiple emails, right? And just like we have example here, we have where you can validate single email, which is the basic validation, and you can also validate multiple email addresses. Now we have a single email. You just call the validate method and pass in your single email, and it tells you if the email is valid or not. Now you can also do that for multiple emails, and for each of those emails it will tell you if it's valid or not, right? So now there are also other options to configure it on how you want it to work. Now I'm going to take it step by step by showing you how the single email works first, which is what I did here earlier. Now you can see that I put in my email and validate it. It tells me the email is valid. If I put in let's say an example email which is not a valid email, now you see that the domain is on a banned list. Example.com is not meant to be used, so it's on a banned list. Then we have you can just put in a wrong email to see. MX record does not exist for this domain, right? That domain does not have an MX record, means that the email does not exist. Now this is how you can validate different emails. Now how this works basically is it takes the email. Let's dump the results from our validator, right, and see what is being called back. Now when we try to validate this email, it has two values for us: is valid and a message. Now is valid is a boolean value, true or false. It tells you if the email is valid or not, and the message tells you a detailed message on why the email is invalid or whether it is valid. So that's that. Now we can also choose to validate multiple emails. Like I said, now I'm calling this email from a form. You can choose to call multiple emails from a form, or let's have an emails list. Let's have a list of multiple emails. Let me show you how it works for multi emails. So we have a list of emails, and I'll pass in my emails here. right? And let's say in my list of emails, let's call multiple emails, right? And then tests at example.com, and then let's just have a random email. Now we are trying to validate these 3 email, right? Now if I dump the result after validating these 3 email, you'll see that we have an array of records for each of those email. Now for the first email, it tells you if it's valid or not and a message. The next email, it tells you if it's valid or not with a message. The last one, it tells you if valid or not with a message. Now all you need to do now is to loop through that email. So what we can do here is to have a for each statement. Let's say now let me do it so that you can display it in our front page. So we can have for each statement here. So let's say can have this, right? And then let's make these results. Yeah, for each result as this. Now we can now say the email is, if the result is valid, then we can say let's call the email, so session email, right? We can do this, and let's try set session for each of those email, right? And then let me now dump our session and see what we have in the session after this. So we can try that again, and let's see. Sorry, I need to die so that it will not move to the next page, right? So now we have undefined array key tests example. We have session. I think I'm doing something wrong. Let's do it this way. Let's say for each emails, as email, let's do it this way. I think I'm supposed to do it like this. Yeah, for each of these emails, right? Now if the results of that email, let's see, I think this is where I'm having error. So let's see, this. Now let's dump our session. Okay, so for each emails as email, I'm trying to loop through this email, right? And for each of those email, I will check if the result of that email is valid, and then store a session for each of those email. And as you can see in our session, we have six. We have an array of 6 values, right, for each of those emails. Now, what we are going to do now is, now let's see how we can restructure our results page to display the result of those emails, because currently if we try to do it now, we will not show any validation. So what we'll do here is, now let's also loop through the emails here, right? Now let me store a session for these emails. Let's store the email in session. So let's say session emails, right, is equals to these emails, right? So for each of the emails section, as email. What am I typing? Now for each of this email as email, so we can now display value for each of the emails like this. Yep, so let's add this everywhere that is needed. All right, so let's try this again. Now you can try this. Now you can see that we are validating 3 emails without the form, because we're not using the form here anymore. We are not using the request from the form. We have coded the 3 emails. Now validated those 3 emails, and the 3 of them display results for us like this. Now the first email is valid, the next email is invalid, is on a banned list, the last email does not have a valid MX record. Another thing you can do is you can customize this email validator package to your choice. If you check the package, you would see down here, you see the configuration options down here, where you can configure this package by sending a config array. Right now we can do that by let's say I have a config. Let me create a config variable like this. Right, this is the default configuration we have here in the package. It checks for MX record, it checks for banned list email, check for disposable email, but it doesn't check for free emails. So Gmail, Yahoo Mail, and the rest of them on the free email lists are going to be valid, because it doesn't check for free email. Now you can pass this to the constructor here. You can pass this array to your constructor, right, and it checks for this, your configuration file. Now this configuration overrides the default configuration in this constructor. If you look at it here, we have a constructor, a config in our constructor here. Now if I set free email to true, it means it also checks if the email is a free email. Now every free email is going to be invalid in this case. So let's see our new validation results. Now you can now see now that the email belongs to a free email provider, right? And let's add this so that we'll know when the email is invalid from the results. So let's say the email is invalid, and then it shows us the results, right? So you can see that this email is invalid. It belongs to a free email provider. This one is invalid. The email is on the banned email list. Now it means the only email that is going to be valid at the end of the day will be email that are from registered domain names, right? Are from paid domains. Like, let's say for example, let me use my company email. So if you try validating such emails, now you can see that this email is a valid email. So in case you only need emails that are from paid domain names, that's company emails, you only want company emails to be used, you can set that in your email validation. If you don't want to check for banned email lists, you can set banned email list to false. If you don't want to check for disposable emails, you can set it to false. You can customize this record anyhow you want. Now this is how you can make use of this email validator package in your code to validate email. All you need to do is to install the package using Composer, and you have it to yourself to make use of it as you wish. Now you want to store emails to your database, or you want to send email to clients, let's say in an email form online, and you don't want to have invalid emails and have so many bounce backs and the rest of them. Now you can just make use of this package. You validate the emails first before you move ahead with only the valid emails. You can now save the valid emails and return an error for the invalid ones, or you send email to the valid emails and the rest of them. So that's how you can make use of the email validator package. I'm going to add the link to this package in the description. Don't forget, you can also make use of your form. You can accept multiple emails in your form and validate it just like this using an array. Pass the array to the validator package and it does the work for you. So the link to the GitHub for this code we dropped in the description. The link to the editor for the email validator package we dropped in the description. Do well to like and subscribe. Thank you.